All righty. Hello, hello. Give me a quick 5x5 on the chat, guys. If you can hear me, I want to make sure that I am able to be heard because I am using StreamYard to be able to broadcast this live interview with Alec Bledsoe. So I want to make sure that you can hear me. I don't think you'll be able to hear the sound effects, but since we're interviewing Alec for actually, as long as we want, no more than an hour and a half, he's got a life too. But I just want to make sure that you guys can hear me well. And we're going to talk to him, interview him, talk to him about his experiences, struggles, thoughts about what's going on with the late model car game. I'll bounce some stuff back and forth. We'll take your questions. Again, guys, please bear with me. I understand that if you do super chats, I might not get to all of them. So unless you guys pay like $100, I'm not saying pay $100, but I'm just saying if you do that, then I'll notice it. But typically, if it's rolling really quickly, I might not notice it. So let's just get right to talking with Alec, and then we'll just shoot the shit for a little bit. Again, if you don't hear the sound effects, I'm not even going to try them today. We're just going to interview Alec. So Alec Bledsoe, welcome. How are you doing, sir?
Good. How you doing?
Good. So I wanted to get you on the live and try it out because I think our interview went pretty well last time. A lot of people just enjoyed it. I saw the red Z06 video. That was super cool that you guys bring out videos, and I gotta commend you guys on the fucking quality of the camera, the editing. Who's your editor again? Let's give him a shout.
Steve is like he's probably watching right now, actually, or going to watch. He does a fantastic job. He's behind the scenes on all of the videos, and Carson actually videos me, but Steve does everything behind the scenes, and if it wasn't for him, we would probably suck. So
No, it's all good. No, it was really good. So let's just get right to talking about that car in particular. What's it take to build that? Because I saw in the video that it takes, or in the video, it had a build motor, you had some kind of spun bearing situation before. But let's say I have a C7 Z06 and I wanted to make 1,000. How would you do that?
First off, I'm not even kidding when I say this. If you call me and you want to make 1,000, I try to talk you out of it. Like as soon as I can. I really do. I try to talk you about 900 to 920, which is still stock blower. So if you want to make over that, then you're gonna put 2650 on it, and nothing lives. The transmissions don't live. The motors don't live. They're all junk.
So are those the 8 speeds that are similar to the Cadillac Escalade that I have? A similar build?
Yeah, it's the same. It's the same thing. And people will sit here and say they live, and yeah, they might live for a little bit, but 900 is a good number to stop at, to be honest with you. And they're fast. It's a fast street car, honestly.
Yeah. So what do they weigh typically? Like is there like trim levels to Z06s too? Like
you have like your high end through. Well, I don't even know what it's called, the 3LT or whatever. It's like got the carbon brakes, all that crap. It's probably 3,600 something pounds.
That's not light. That is not light.
No, it's not like a C6.
Right. So what's it take for a C7 Z06 to run a 929, like horsepower wise?
That 900 mark.
Oh, yep. Okay. Dude, that's plenty.
That's what I tell everybody, So I try to talk everyone. And then you can make 900 for this price, and then you make 1,000 for this price, and it's a lot more money to make 1,000, and you have a lot more problems that come with it. So I really try to talk people out of it.
Okay, so let's say a 900 horse build. Can I do that on a stock bottom end?
Oh yeah.
Oh, definitely. Beautiful. But if you want 1,000 and have it live more than 3 dyno pulls, you would build it.
I would build it. I would at least do a rods and pistons deal, stock crank, but at the very minimum, but the bigger blowers, what we found, they want the crank in them, so you put a 4-inch strip crank, which makes it a 416 at that point.
Oh, okay.
And that's what I was just telling you. It's not like a Coyote, we don't have 4 cams to work with.
Right.
So.
Well, that's the thing. We're starting to see on the Coyote end of things a funky limitation, and it's the weirdest thing. Like, I would have never thought these words would come out of my mouth. Like a built Coyote. I'm saying rods, pistons by a reputable engine builder, O-ringed heads, all this shit, sleeved. You can make 1,500, 1,600 pretty easily. Okay. The problem comes when you try to go just beyond that And there's like a weird wall that coyotes are hitting where you start pressurizing the coolant, you start pressurizing things that you shouldn't be pressurizing, or you're just making more boost but no extra power. Is there a similar threshold in the Chevy LSLT world where a bunch of the vehicles can make this power, but if you want to make just past it, it's either SML billet shit or like something where it's Billy Badass that it's not really affordable anymore?
Well, it's kind of a broad question. I would say if you have a blower, they make less than turbos. Like turbos, you can get away with murder. You know, you can pretty much on an LT4 stock bottom end turbos, you could probably make 1100 all day.
Oh wow, okay, on a stock bottom end car.
Yeah, their rods are beefy. I mean, they got a good rotating assembly in them. As long as you can, I mean, they have a problem with the mains in them. Sometimes it depends if you get a Wednesday car or a Friday car. Just the clearances aren't made to make that much boost or power, so the cranks start walking around and they'll grab bearings, and so it just depends if you take care of it or if you go out there and beat it red light to red light. But anyways, if you build a motor like a stock block, like Rod's piston deal, I would say you don't get that much more out of it. That's how good the stock rods are in them things. So like I would say probably 1250, and then you got to start putting sleeves in them. If you put sleeves in them, I would just buy a block at that point.
Right.
So
Because you're taking it out anyway.
Yeah, but like if you're getting to like 1500 horsepower, I mean, yeah, a stock iron block will handle a good bit more than that. I would say 1800 on a LT8, LT LSX is aftermarket GM performance. That's they'll handle 2000 no problem.
Gotcha.
But
Joe Swish is asking a question. He said, "Question for Alex or Alec. In your opinion, what is the ideal horsepower for a daily?" You can answer on your end. I'll answer on my end. But I want to hear your thoughts. Ideal horsepower for a daily.
So I don't think you should ever daily your toy.
But these guys are broke and they have a firm account at $30,000. So we need to, let's say you only have an S550 or a Camaro ZL1. What would you say?
I would say 700 is more than plenty. Honestly, and people think that's not a lot of power, but it really is, especially when you get cold roads and stuff. It's never going to hook. So
people don't realize that 700 rear wheel horsepower is going to beat most of the things that are exotic, like a Porsche, like a Lambo, or not a high-end Lambo, but you're going to beat like 75%. And depending on where you're located, I don't know if in Maryland, everyone's rolling on 1,000 horsepower and 20 PSI. I don't know this, but down here, you could live a long life at 800, 850. If you get beat by someone if you're making 850 and you get beat, well, kudos to him. He's making over 1,000 like a dumbass. But if you want to just live a long life, 700 to 800, plenty of horsepower.
I agree. That's the same way around here. If you watch our videos, that white CL1, he dig races, but he street races the crap out of that thing.
Yeah, I see that. He's like, does he ever think he might get in trouble? Like he's known, and you know how the feds are always watching, and they're like, rappers are saying who they killed in the video, and people, this guy's out there racing in Mexico. Like, does he?
I say this when we put videos out. I'm like, man, I don't know if we should be doing this, but it's like one of them things where it's. I mean, I don't know. It's just keep doing until you get caught, I guess. But people love it. So it's just like one of the things where taking a risk, and he's so laid back and he don't really care. So
he seems like a good dude from what I can tell.
Yeah, he's a great dude. But anyways, he doesn't make 1,000. Right. He's he beats 8 out of 10 cars. You know what I'm saying? So still a stock blower deal and no nitrous or anything like that. So
but he's a dig guy, right? Mostly.
Yeah, but even if you roll race that car, I mean,
it's gonna be a problem.
He's a mid 4 second 60 to 130.
Oof. Jesus.
So
that's fast. That's GT500 fast. That's fast. So that's fast.
Yeah.
Legit.
So.
Jason's asking, debating on heads cam and E85 on my C7 Stingray. What would you do to get 500 rear wheel horsepower on a C7 E85? Like, what would you do to get 500 real horsepower on a C7 Stingray?
So base model.
Sell it and get an actual car, or
No, you can get pretty close to 500 without even putting the cam in them. I think we've made like 497 or something before in a stick.
Is there a combo like here? It's Coyote guys. It's CJ cams, E85, big cold air. Lightweight or
Pretty,
not lightweight, but like on
yeah,
those cars. How is
pretty
it? How's it
much. I
done?
mean, it's 85 MSD intake, rotofab headers. Typical full bolt on stuff without cracking to the engine.
That's a good one. What do you consider full bolt on? What in
Anything
your
that's
world?
not going into the engine. So, in my
Okay.
opinion,
Well, I mean, okay, but you bolt on a supercharger, you bolt on cams, you
yeah,
bolt
no,
on a throttle body.
yeah, don't do any engine work. So you can bolt the intake on, I would say, but that's
Okay,
about as far as you can go with bolt-ons, in my opinion.
gotcha. So things that don't require you opening up the long block at all.
Long block, yes.
Long block. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
That makes sense because a
In
lot
my
of people,
opinion.
because when let's say you get a customer and he goes, "Hey, I'm full bolt on. How can I go faster?" And he's got headers and an intake, and I'm like, "Well, there's a lot more things to bolt on," but people say they're fully bolted on, and I always make jokes that like half a bolts are on or whatever,
Yeah.
just to
Yeah.
be a dickhead.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
in your area, is it more predominantly dig racing or roll racing, or is it equal?
I would say more dig racing.
Okay. Here it's all roll racing, like all
Dig
roll
racing is pretty
racing.
big around here. Between Baltimore, Philly, New York, um, Virginia, I would say dig racing's pretty big. And people travel in between those. That dude with the white Zealand, he'll go to New York.
Well, okay, that's like me going to Jacksonville
Okay.
because it's a big state, but
Mhm.
I'll go to Jacksonville. I've gone to Georgia. I've gone to Tampa, and that's 3 hours away. So how far is New York from you guys? 3 hours? An hour and a half?
Yeah, no,
Two?
3 hours.
Three? Okay.
Yeah.
So it's similar because you can literally drive for 2 hours and go through 3 states up there.
Yeah, Philly's only an hour and a half, but Philly's huge for street racing, so you can go
Gotcha.
there in the night, no problem. But
Cool.
yeah.
Victor Reyes is asking, having trouble finding shops that'll tune a Gen 3 LS stuff, like my C5. Does LMP support Gen 3?
We do
Pretty
not.
old. Yeah, I was gonna say it's
Yeah,
pretty
we do
old.
not.
Now, is Gen 3, do you know anything about Coyote and their generations and tuning, or not Coyote, Ford? Like you know what a 2-valve is, you know what a 3-valve is?
I do. I don't follow. I don't know what the different years are, but I know what the
No.
different.
So,
Yeah.
but those are different. So it says 2-valve, 3-valve Coyote. So a C5, what is that considered? Like, is that considered like it's still LS based, is it not? Or
Yeah, yeah, it's LS.
and
That's like the OG LS. Well, not the OG, but like the new generation, Gen 3 LS, I should say, that actually was worth a shit.
okay.
Back in '98 when they came out, or
So is it because
'97.
the computers are old, the fuel pumps are old, the wiring, it's just like it's not worth the
Yeah,
hassle.
the ECUs are old, and I did that for a long time. Was those style ECUs, like the P59s, they're like nightmares because they brick really easy. But I don't do them no more at all, really, unless like I know you, honestly. So
Yeah, like Senior on our end, he'll do a lightning. Like he's a psychopath. I love Senior, but he'll like, hey, I need a lightning tuned. And to me, that's like tuning a dinosaur. Like I'd rather do a carburetor. But Senior cut his teeth on Cobra and Lightning. So he's like, that's my wheelhouse all day, every day.
I don't mind doing the old stuff. It's actually really easy to tune them. It's just my cable. It just seems like with these new betas from HP tuners, man, they brick them
Stop
really
it.
easily.
Don't get me started
So,
on software
yeah.
stuff. I
So
love you.
honestly, that's the biggest reason is why I turn them things away. And then if you have 200,000 miles on something or whatever it might be, and people don't want to pay $1,000 for a tune. You
Right.
don't really get the clientele.
So speaking of that clientele, we were talking about before we went on, broke boys and people that have money and this and that, and desirable generation cars that will stand the test of time. Talk to me about what you think going forward tuning is going to look like, or what you'll have to do to kind of navigate the tuning field, especially with the newer stuff. Like the first time I ever heard the term Global B was your channel. I saw that you had a CT5. You guys ported or put on a ported blower, made more power. Then it ran like a 11 something at the track, or like a 10.9, I forget.
1090.
10.9. And what are you like optimistic about the future? Because I'll be honest with you, with Ford, I am like so anti supporting the new stuff unless it's tunable, and because GM is going to make stuff phone home and revert, so is Ford. What do you do? Like, have you had talks? Have you had some kind of foot in the door when it comes to seeing what's going to happen with the new stuff?
It's hard to say. I think that they'll have to figure it out. I don't know if it'll be tomorrow or 2 years from now, but if the performance game is going to keep going in the GM world, the global B stuff's going to need to be figured out with the C8 and the CT5. And for HV tuners, for example, they're like the main ones for GM. So I would think like I know they're working on it. It's not like
Right.
they're. So it's hard to say. We just came out with the expansion tank and the heat exchanger for the Blackwing, and I want to be on the ahead of the 8 ball, because if it does come out, I want to have stuff for it.
Right. That's what I was leading to. Like, hardware wise, what do you already have heat exchanger stuff? You already have ice tank stuff. Like, you're trying to get ready for that customer. Do you think those things will sell that well? Like, do you see those things around enough to make you go, this is going to be a thing, let me support it?
Not quite yet, but the V3s were kind of the same way, honestly, until we went really fast with one. So I know a lot of shops out there. They didn't make many V3s actually. So I know a lot of shops out there don't build them often, but there's always 2 in our shop at once usually. So and they're always getting cooling mods. So I would say I think it will take time, but it will sell. It's
Okay.
hard to say. You don't know until you try. So that's
It's
one
one of
thing
those.
about me. I'm not scared to try it, and if it doesn't work, then it don't work.
Is there a platform in your neck of the woods, or your side of things, GM, where people are trying to make something it's not? Like, to me, it's GT500. Like, GT500 owners want to make that thing a drag car, and it's
Hmm.
got a DCT that's inaccessible, it's heavy, and you need to have a certain size tire, blah, 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 blah. But they are hard-headed, and they're like, I want to make this thing a drag car. I don't give a fuck what you say. Do you have a similar vehicle in your during your findings that people are doing something similar to?
Yep, the C8. Um,
I see your
people,
disgust already. I see
it
it.
just pisses me off that people try to drag race that car. Now, like, I would be interested in doing something with them, uh, pretty much only in the Z06. I would actually consider buying a Z06 and getting rid of my ZL1 if you could tune them, and I would do like a twin turbo kit on them. But like, I wouldn't gear it towards drag racing. It would be more of a roll racing
Or
thing,
half mile or
or
something like that.
exactly. Because those cars are not made to be doing what they're doing. I mean, it's ridiculous what people are doing to them things.
I see a
So
C8 and I go, that is a badass road race car or roll race car. Like, you
yeah,
could
I
make
mean,
something like, it handles, it looks good. It's not meant now. What do you think on the E-Ray? Do you have any thoughts on the E-Ray?
I haven't looked too much into it. I mean, I don't like anything electric at all. So it's
Like,
so yeah.
I love it. I love it because of what the ZR1 can be. I'm like, if the ZR1 has that motor, twin turbo, which I've already shown people the manifolds,
Hmm.
and it has a 200 horsepower front motor, I'm like, fuck, I'm in. Let's dig race that bitch, run nines on the street, and get after it. But what's it going to cost? It's going to be a $200,000 car.
At
Stupid.
least.
Yeah.
Yeah, at least.
And then the markups are going to be stupid. So you're going to
Yeah.
go, well, so the E-Ray, you don't care because it has an electric motor, or you don't care because it's not that impressive compared to what's already out there?
I don't think it's going to be that impressive to what's out there unless you can modify them. I'm not paying that much money for something that I can't modify. Like, if you get if I bought a Huracan or a Gallardo tomorrow, you can turn around and put twins on it and
Yep.
modify them.
Right.
So that turns me off immediately. So it's hard for me to say. If I like them or not yet. If you
Right.
tune them, I'll be into them. But
Same.
you won't see me at MIR dig racing the thing.
No,
You know,
exactly.
it's
Joe,
just
Joe
yeah,
Swish is asking, do you think a manual ZL1 and CT5V Blackwing are far too undergeared for their weight?
under geared. No, I would
Meaning,
say not.
meaning should it have a 373 or a 4?
They
We
do.
have a
So
guy
they have,
here that puts 456s on shit, and I'm like, oh my god, fuck off.
So the Z01 has the 6th gen Z01, actually, and the 5th gen have 373s in the sticks. So no, I think they're perfect. I don't know what the Blackwing's got, but no, I think they're perfect. Honestly, GM really did their homework. I think Z01s are a very underrated car. Actually,
You know what? I think you're right, because out of all the Camaros that I've ever looked at, like from the moment that okay, what's the first new model? It's a 5th generation. No, is it a 5th generation? The
for
the
the
Bumblebee shit.
yeah, that's
Okay, so I thought those
don't
were
say that with the Camaro, all right?
Oh,
That's like
I saw the trash. This is a trash car. Fuck this car. And then I started seeing the specialty models come out, and I'm like, okay, they're getting there. And then the latest gen, I go, that's a great looking car. How can you not like that car? I get it. I'm not a Camaro guy, but I looked at that car and I go, there's a guy here that has a ZL1. I think it's 1LE, the performance package version. Beautiful. The brakes, it looks great. He drives the thing's shiny all the time. I'm like, that's a nice car. So you did mention something interesting about that. If you can modify it, you'd be interested in it. Are you mind blown that people are looking forward to buying something that you probably don't even know if you can mod or not? Like they put a deposit on it. You see them on Facebook saying, I got a pre-order in and I paid $20,000 over MSRP, and fuck, it's probably not going to be able to be tuned for 2 years.
I don't think people are paying attention to it. So yeah, I am mind blown. People, I have a customer that just ordered a C806, and he's like, when we get it in, and when it comes, I'm like, I can't do anything to it.
Drop it off at your shop. Hey, I can't wait to drop this off at your shop.
Like, yeah. He's like, what do you mean? I'm like, I can't do nothing with it. I put a set of forge lines on it or something. That's about it.
Here's a louver. Here's some louvers and some wheels, but that's the future, in my opinion, of modifications, because like you said, they bought it. It's $100,000 car, and he goes to your shop and he goes, what do you think? Well, what can we do with it? And you're like, fuck all. I can't do shit. Like, and what do they look super surprised when you tell them, hey, this thing's useless. I can't tune this thing? Or do they go, well, we'll wait. We'll see what happens. What kind of reaction do you get when you tell them you can't tune them?
It's usually, we'll see what happens. Hopefully something will be out. Well, I'm like, well, the C8's been out for 3 years and there's still no tuning. So
really, this, okay, because I don't know this, and I apologize if it's common knowledge, but there is no way for you to buy a tune for a C8 anywhere.
Nope.
Wow. So this FuelTech stuff is all standalone, its own shit. Okay. So
listeners, you got to run 2 FuelTechs on that thing. One for the engine, one for the transmission. It's like a big money. It's big money. Stop it.
Because the DCT has no access, right? There's no access. There's no access to the ECM or whatever you want to call it. Wow. Okay. So fuck a C8, because until
that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. See, guys, that's why I want to talk to him, because I didn't know that. I thought, you see these guys going, hey, I got to tune the blah, blah, blah package. And I'm like, but how come you don't see many of these out and about? You see like a 2 PSI C8, and I'm like, what?
You took that right out of my mouth. I'm like, I see these guys getting work done, and they can't fucking tune. I'm like, I can't tune them, so they're like, oh yeah, I'm on like 8 pounds of boost. I'm like, so you spend about $25,000 for a twin turbo kit, and the thing makes like another 60 horsepower, or whatever it might make. I'm like, that's real cool, So
I think just like you said, that like for us, S650, which I find it hilarious that they call that car the S650 when it's literally an S550 with a different front and rear and a couple of tablets on the dash, but they're not paying attention. They go, once I buy it, I'm gonna get with all the tuners, and I want to be the first to 10s, the first to 9s. I'm like, guys, those days are over. Like 21 F-150 wasn't tunable for 2 fucking years, and now and then guess what happened? 22 F-150 is not tunable because it doesn't cross over, so you got to find a completely new code for that. And every year you can't cross flash or use a sit, because in our world, some vehicles you can use like a 15 to 17 Mustang. I tune exactly the same. and there's no auto, manual, doesn't matter. They all get the same tune. 18 is its own thing, and 19 to 21 you can cross flash. It's 19 to 20 you can cross flash. So I can get off on tangents. Rami asked the question, what car gives you tuning nightmares? Let me see if I can find what car out of all platforms gives you absolute tuning nightmares, if any.
If they're all stock, or if I read a stock file out of them, if you're a tuner, you can tune anything, in my opinion. So like, I know GM cables well, so like, I would say probably the trucks. I'm not a big fan of them, but
which ones? Like F1? Sorry, 1500.
No. Yeah, 1500. Like
Okay.
if any truck you see, so 1500, 2500 gas stuff. So I would say those, but still, I mean, they're not. And the LS is easy.
But there's no car that you go, fuck, I'm going to be on this car for 10 more revisions. Even though you can tune it, you just know that it's going to have 10 more revisions. To me, it's a 2010 GT500. 2010 GT500, I am going to do 5 more revisions than anything else.
Yeah, one car, C7 ZR1. They're a total nightmare.
Really?
I don't like them. Yeah, I hate those cars.
Robbie's like, oh, because that's like his specialty. Well, he builds them and he's got a guy that tunes on them. But what is it specifically? Not specifically, but can you give me a general idea as to what is that you don't like about those cars?
Just the port injection compared to the DI, it's not right. And HP Tuners knows it. And just the way it blends fuel and when the port comes in, it's really hard to tune them. So it's hard to make power with them properly, in my opinion.
Define that properly, because I suspect a lot of people, if you were to read a data log, you'd go, that's dangerous, but the car runs a number and they just go by the number as opposed to what the data log is saying. Like, what do you mean properly?
So I think a lot of people don't even know what they're doing when they tune a C7 ZR1. There might be a handful out there that know what they're doing, but I would say that properly, I would say, like on a direct injection car, for example, like air fuels and them things are like 12.5. That's what they like. About 12.5 without being port injection. So, in a port injection car, I'm just giving rough numbers. All cars like different things, but you're about 11.8 on like a blower deal. So roughly, but on a C7 ZR1, like I've seen stuff come in the shop that is 14.0 air fuel and it makes good power. And I've seen stuff that comes in at 11.3 and it won't get out of its own way. So it's and people have it. It's a total shit show. So, but they don't know how to command the proper lambda or air fuel or whatever you want to call it. So, in right tables, in my opinion. And I'm not a master at it neither. I mean, if I owned one, I would have mastered it by now. But there's not many of them out there, so it's hard to get my hands on one and do it. I mean, like the fastest C7 ZR1 out there, I think it's been like 839 or something, which is fast. But my 1.7 blower has been 843.
Right. So the crazy thing with me is when I hear a ZR1 go down the track, it sounds like shit. The shifts aren't crisp, and that's a layman can hear a shift and know that wasn't right. Either the converter is in the middle of a lockup and then it shifts and then it doesn't lock on the next shift, and torque reduction farts its way to the next gear. And I'm like, that didn't sound good.
So in my opinion, I think a lot of people they turn this torque management off and they sound like complete garbage. If you have it shouldn't sound like garbage, I promise. Right. Like it's just in my ZL1, if you guys go to the videos, or YouTube videos, the 2-3 shift, there's a cut in it still.
Yes.
And there's a reason for that though. But everything, I mean, it doesn't sound sloppy whatsoever. Everything sounds smooth. But yeah, you're right. The C7, I don't know if like the tuners out there or what, man, but they shut the freaking torque management off and they just sound like they're sliding in gear.
It's a sliding. And I'm like, look, they're running a number. I'm a nobody, right? I'm just some stupid Puerto Rican, beaner talking shit. But I know what a good transmission sounds like going down the track, and most C701s sound like absolute butt cheeks. going down the track. So that's why I mentioned that. Second Shift Racing asks, do you think the LS3 is better than the LS7 out of the box? If some of these questions are retarded, my fans are pretty retarded, just letting you know. Just
No, I mean, it's two different engines. I mean, the LS7's not, it's not strong, but it makes power, if that makes sense. It's a 427 with a titanium rod in it. Like, it's got good rotating assembly, but it's not, I mean, it's got an okay rotating assembly, but the blocks are a little weak in them and stuff. So I don't know what kind of question that is. I mean,
Yeah.
naturally aspirated to naturally aspirated, yeah, I would say the LS7, but if you put boost on it, the LS3 for sure.
Gotcha. So is, in your opinion, Kevin Alonso asks, the C6 Z06 the NA V8 King?
No.
Ooh, go ahead. Tell me
No.
who you think the NA V8 King is.
I would say the LT1 if you know what you're doing.
Ooh. Now, if without giving up industry secrets, why?
It's direct injection. It makes more power, and I don't care what anyone says.
I like it. No, I like that.
And you can make 630 horsepower heads cam stock bottom end with a 6.2, and you can't do you might make 630 with a heads cam
7-liter.
Exactly.
Right. So. Gotcha. No, that make actually, so 6.2 LT1, you prefer to build NA than a 7-liter LS7.
I wouldn't say preferred. I'll do either one. But
well, if you were going to build an NA car that has stock bottom end, which one would you buy in that world?
The LT. Yeah.
Okay. See, that's how we answer the questions here. We just go, we give you examples and we go, okay, okay. We talked about this before we went live about which vehicle I think is going to be worth more money when the shit hits the proverbial fan, when tuning cannot be done. I told people stay away from 21 to 23, but they don't listen to me. This is why I tell them that, because the best tuners in the game can't tune them the way we like to tune them. We are limited by the software. So a Gen 2 is king, because you can go just as fast with a Gen 2 than a Gen 3. But the problem comes in, what is the clientele going to look like? Is it going to be a bunch of broke boys with the Gen 2s? And, are they willing to pay a decent amount of money for tuning? So it's yet to be seen as to which vehicle is going to stay standing. What is the most desirable, I don't want to say platform because that's too broad, between Corvette and truck and Camaro and SS and V. But is there, like, to me, is there an equivalent to a Gen 2 S550 in your world?
I would say probably, the second gen CTSV. It's very popular. They're affordable. You can mod them for a good price. Doesn't break the bank.
Wow. So. Interesting. Because the only reason I would avoid those cars personally is a lot of fuckboys own them, right? Like
absolutely.
you and I both know the V, is it called the V2, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
V2, yeah.
It's the fuckboy car of all fuckboy cars. And it's fast. They make good power. If you build them, and the aftermarket absolutely supports it. But goddamn it, if I haven't met a fucking sea sucker that owns one of those, like every single one has like they think they're Billy Badass, and I'm like, dude, relax.
So I'll agree with you on that, but I'll say one car that's worse than that, and don't take this the wrong way, is the C6001. Holy fuck!
Oh, dude,
them guys are serious, dude. I'm like,
the forums on Facebook are AIDS. Freddie Mercury, 1982, AIDS. I'm like, by that.
And no one's been fast that talk shit on those pages. I'm like,
there's one guy that's run 87, the white one. Then Greg is like an 880 car, right? And then there's a whole bunch of 9-second cholos and a couple of high 8-second people. And you're like, it's not like a Billy. I mean, don't get me wrong. You can go faster than anything if you got enough money. But is it because is it like GT500 owners, because it's such an expensive Corvette that they go, oh, look at me. Like, I have $5,000 forge lines on a 10-second car.
I can't decide, honestly. I can't decide, but it's horrible, man. Them guys are bad, and it makes me they're my favorite car, but it makes me not want to own one if I ever had a chance to own one. I'm like, man, I don't know.
I put Forge stars on mine, and people started talking shit, and then you look at their profiles, and they're driving a Sentra. They're driving, And they're like, "Oh, you got to buy better wheels than that." And I'm like, "Oh, tell me how much money I should spend on my." Now I get, and then the problem is, same in the GT500 world, forged line bead locks on what the fuck do you need a bead lock for on that car? Like I'm blown away.
That pisses me off. You don't need a fucking bead lock unless you go 120, 60 foot.
Right. And they're like, "Oh, forged line blue, color matching bead locks." It's like, are we just the gayest gay guys on the planet? But you're right. I think C701 guys are super gay. Now, are they cheap? Are they cheap?
Yes and no. I would say you get some of them. Like we just did Greg Kong's car, and
finally got a drag setup on that. Looks good. Looks sucked in.
Yeah. And we redid the whole car. He wasn't cheap by any means about letting me do whatever I needed to do with that. For the most part, I would say no, probably not. They're pretty good, but the problem is with that whole group of the C60R1 is like they have like cults, like they have like a hate towards Kong for some reason.
I don't look at you and I both know Kong on a personal level. There is no way to hate that guy.
No.
Like, how can you hate? First of all, he's hot. I'd fuck him. Second of all, he used to work out. Now he's working whatever. And he's honest. He's just like a normal bro. How can you?
He still works out. He got
slim. I like that fat ass he had. He got light
on
him.
He FaceTimes me sometimes. He'll be in the gym with jeans on. I'm like, what are you doing?
Yeah, I think he's a little. All gym guys are kind of kooky like that, which I love. But if you knew the guy, knew his background, knew him growing up, knew his work ethic, his fucking work ethic, you can't hate on that guy. But I think it's the other blower guys, right? Like the other companies that
it's the other companies that. So there's two. I always tell people, like especially guys that work for me, there's two ways to get business. In my opinion, you got this group that of shops out there that bash other people so badly that that's how they make themselves look good. And then you got this group of people, which isn't very big, that just do good work and they just stick to in their own lane. And that's the ZR1 group is over here. These guys just shops out there and the other blower porting people out there that just bash, the Kong 2650 helm, don't make any more power. Let me tell you, like, you're not putting a 2300 on Greg's car and making almost 1400 to the tire.
Correct.
Like, it's just not happening.
Right.
But people don't build stuff properly neither. A lot of people in this industry, in my opinion, is very stupid. So, you get people that want to slap a 2650 on for no reason. And, it won't make any more power, if the cam's not right or whatever it might be. It's not like a Coyote. You have to have an engine that moves the air, so a cam is a big part of that. And
when I see a guy go, "Hey, made 800 on my Corvette," and I see the graph makes 20 PSI, I go,
exactly.
What are your IATs like? So is it bunching up in the lid? Like, where the hell is the boost not going? 20 PSI? What the fuck's going on?
Exactly.
Yes.
So exactly. So there's a big problem in the ZR1 world where everyone thinks they know everything and they really don't. So.
Yeah, it's how it is everywhere. Oliver Bryan says, "Alex, thanks for doing this, Alec. I have a 6-speed Blackwing and I love it. Would you bother doing an export in headers or just leave it stock? It's a semi-daily and I also have a GT50 getting Whipple soon." See, he's basically telling you he's got money. So I got money. What do you think? So would you, Alec, do an export and headers on a Blackwing that you can't tune yet?
So actually, I don't know if I would do headers. We haven't experimented with that yet. I know they make them, but we did an export on the one that we did the expansion tank and heat exchanger before anyone even. I don't know why we did that. We just Greg, he's like, "You think a blower will work on that thing?" I'm like, "Probably not. Like that'd be stupid."
Dumbass. No.
So we put it on the dyno and hooked the air fuel up to it, and it's like perfect. So it gained like. I don't know what it gained, 60 or 80 horsepower, I think it gained.
Did boost go down or up?
It went up.
Okay,
but
no, go ahead.
I can't remember exactly by how much, but it wasn't like something it picked up a lot per pound, if that makes sense.
Like
I want to say it picked up a good bit. So it wasn't like making a ton more. It's stock pulleys too. We didn't pulley it. So same throttle body. and it picked up that much. Same
Oh.
cold air intake. Like there's no change besides the ported blower. So, and he's been driving around like that for almost a year now. So,
oh, okay, good. So no, it's not fail safing. It's not phoning back home saying, "Hey, you're making too much boost, bro." Like, like it's not.
yeah.
It's not freaking the fuck out.
Yeah, so no, it's good. And then we just made the heat exchanger and the expansion tank for it, and it's been great with that too. It's not freaking out yet. So I mainly did that because those things are road course cars.
Yep.
So
It's got the
you wanna
magnetic
keep
air, the ride, the big
Yeah.
brakes, like. But then we take it to MIR. and we
Well,
go
I'm a
drag
drag racing. Yeah, I'm a drag race person, so we were just seeing if we can get it into the tens. And mainly to make a YouTube video, be like, hey, we just had a Blackwing go tens.
I watched it because so when I bought my car, my truck, my Escalade, people hate that I call it a truck. I'm from the Northeast. Everything's a fucking truck. Fuck you.
Right.
So right, like oh no, it's an SUV. I'm like, it's a truck. Shut up. So I saw a Blackwing there, CT5, and it's just an impressive, beautiful vehicle just sitting there, right? And if you can throw a blower on it and gain 70, you're not gonna. That's not the car you're taking to the meet, okay? That's the car you're taking to get laid that night, go to dinner, or go to road course, you know?
Right.
So I'm like, boy, that's cool, but you're right. To me, it would be a road car. But because I saw the car, the drag strip, and saw the difference, the delta, I was like, oh, look at that. He actually picked up a decent amount with no tuning. Now, I've always been interested in that. I've always been interested in what you can get away with stock tuning. And this is the next line of questioning that you might want to answer or just not answer. If I was to put on headers on a, let's say, C6Z06, and let's just theorize no tuning is being done, will it make more power and run okay?
Probably make 10 horsepower difference.
Okay. So those cars are sensitive. Those cars are sensitive to the O2s, and they don't have wide bands, right? No wide bands on those cars.
No, GM don't have wide bands. I wish they did.
They still don't. Fuck.
I know. It sucks. It sucks.
So there is, because on a Mustang, you can literally bolt on headers, a higher flowing air filter. Yes, it'll throw codes. You can take the cats off, but on the stock tune, it'll pick up 20 to 30 horse, throw codes up the ass, but run fine. So I've always wondered the tampering laws. This is where we're getting into the tampering silliness. Who is culpable? Like if Ford allows a vehicle, like if you do a DPF delete on a diesel, that shit won't run. Shit won't run unless you tune it. But on the Ford side of things, and that's what I'm thinking about the Dark Horse, like the Dark Horse or the new S650, did they devise a way of removing something and causing a failsafe if it picks up something is disconnected? And I don't know if Chevy has, again, I'm not trying to make yourself snitch, but I wonder if there's something similar on the Chevy side of things where, like when I put the headers on the Corvette, I didn't need much tuning. It ran pretty good,
it doesn't. You know? Yeah, it doesn't make it's not going to blow it up. You know?
No, right.
So when we do a header install at the shop, it gets a tune. It's just one of them things where it helps it. And plus you get the light off. So, you know, a Blackwing can get away with seems like a good bit so far.
That's what I'm saying, because I'm wondering if the newer cars are scaled in such a way that it's widened and you can throw stuff at it.
I don't know much about them, but you can tell they're definitely different. And I would love to get my hands into an ECU, but obviously that has not happened yet. The mass airflow sensor, for one, is what I noticed the first thing on that car. I've never seen a mass airflow like that in my life. So it's way different than I've ever seen before. It's still like a card style deal, but it's just different. And usually when GM changes their mass airflow, from what I've ever seen, it really changes how wide the tuning, you know what I'm saying? Like
it's scaled to a higher airflow so you can pull it down and it's still going to sample air up there.
Yeah.
So does GM incorporate IAT into the mass airflow sensor?
Yes.
Okay, so it's not something new that they're doing, because Gen 2, they started doing that on Mustang 15 and up. But the mass airflow sensor can be, I mean, literally, we have stock airflow, mass airflow sensors on cars that make 12, 1300. Then we go to like an HPX or something like that, and it has more range, but then you got to scale the whole calibration. Mm-hmm. Speaking of that, do we have to start a GoFundMe to get you a new laptop? Like, what the fuck's going on with your laptop, bro?
It's
like,
funny you say that,
that screen is cracked.
Dude, My laptop is literally at the computer store right now.
Okay.
So that one, has everything on it, and like I tune every day, and I'm like, I just never had time to bring it to the laptop store, and yeah. Long story short, it's there now. So
Good, because I was like, I don't know if I want him to tune my shit because there's tables that he can't see. Like he
no,
can't see this. There's a big crack on the end of it and stuff like that.
yeah.
So let me see if there's any in here actually asking any questions. He says, speaking of Greg's car, not sure if it's a secret info or not. Is he still running the stock 229 first gear? Now, this is a funny one. If it's a secret, you can't answer or not answer it, right? Like, is he still running the 229 first gear on his TR6060 or T56, whatever?
I'll be honest with you. I really don't know. I know the trains is built, but we didn't do it. It was done before, and we didn't do anything with it. I would assume so.
Have you? Because I've started noticing, because my second gear synchro is starting to complain. I take off at a light in second, and it seems fine. Like, it's fine. Obviously, no one's doing that like a wide open throttle and dumping the clutch, because I'm sure shit will go flying everywhere. But do you think there's a optimal gear ratio for ZR1s in the 800 to 1000 range that would work better for it than the stock stuff?
I would say I would try to experiment with something, yes, but I don't know if it'd be any better until I tried it, if that makes sense.
Gotcha.
I would think on paper, yes, there would be something that would work better. It's kind of like getting into when I tune race cars, like the guys that have serious budgets of like 3-speed lockup stuff, or even 4 speeds. Like we had different ratios and stuff that we try, and it picks up.
Is your, like on a 400, let's say we're talking race stuff, is your preferred ratio the close ratio stuff, like the 180, 180 first and all that stuff?
Yeah, 180. I just ordered. So I have a buddy of mine that's got a silver Camaro, the one with the Maggie on it that has a big throttle body on our YouTube.
Okay.
He's been 480s in that car. It's pretty fast for a 2650.
480s on a blower car, and it's not light, right? It's not like 29.
No, it's 30, 34, 30 or something.
Dude.
Yeah.
I was literally having this conversation with Junior today about, okay, wouldn't you love a customer that has, because a lot of customers have a lot of money but no sense, and they want what they want, and you either have to curtail your. Imagine a customer that came up to you and said, I have a 2,500 pound, I'm saying all in 25 whatever monkey bar chassis, separates fucking from whatever, and I want you to pick the platform in terms of motor. Basically, race weight's going to be 2,500. Wouldn't you fucking like salivate at someone that would come to you with a race car that is, but then you have an LS based situation where like a ultimate drag and drive car that's like max effort, stupid. Like I know people that have put more money into a car that is 3,500 pounds than something that would be like a 2,500 pound chassis
crazy.
car.
It's crazy what people don't see. I feel like there's two sides to the drag racing community. You got the street car guys that have nothing. They know nothing about race car stuff. And you got the race car stuff that know nothing about street car stuff.
Right.
So it's like, it's crazy what one don't know about another. But I actually have a customer like that bought a car like a year ago, and we went down to Georgia to pick it up. It's a Fox body.
Nice.
We've been out one time with it. It was a total nightmare. Did we pick it up, and this dude, like, it's a decent car to go like 440s with. We thought it would be a decent car to go like 4.0s with. And let me tell you, there's a big difference between 4.0s and 440s. And the guy we bought it from owned a shop, actually, LS shop. And like we just knew we knew each other. Like, we're not friends or anything. We just kind of know of each other. And we get the car back, and I changed a lot of shit on it before we even go out. And I'm like, we go out, and like the converter is way too loose. We changed like 3 different stators in it. We changed all kinds of shit. We went from going 5.0 we brought it out at Yellow Bullet weekend. I don't know if you know it.
Yes,
Yellow. Yeah.
Yep.
We're dumbasses. We went out during a race and
start trying shit.
Yeah. First time ever out with the car. Luckily, So we went. Mark Mencher's a really good friend of mine. So we went down to Mark's. He scaled the car for us.
Nice.
You know, did the shocks all around. So the car set up a line to go straight down the racetrack, and he did a fantastic job
He
of
did
that.
the plotting and all that shit. He did all
Everything.
that.
He'll
Wow,
do that.
badass.
Yeah, he'll do that.
That's
So,
badass.
so he did that, and like we went from going 5.0s like off the trailer to 4.30s within like I don't know 12 runs, and like we qualified number 7 out of 40. So
Wow.
like, and then like we just went out a couple weeks ago. So then like he's like, you know, we're doing a motor for it right this second, and he's like, do whatever you know, pretty much what you would do. So we go out a couple weeks ago, and I try to go fast with it at MIR, just testing, and it's about to twist the car in half. I'm like,
Really?
motherfucker! I'm like, this thing ain't made to go any faster. And like so like to 330, that car, the best it's ever been before was like 296 to 330, and like I tried to go, I don't know, pretty fast to 330, and it went 287, and the car was sideways coming through 330 because it's twisting up so bad, and he let off the throttle, and it just unsettled the car so badly.
Oh. So
So
is it just not enough anti-roll bar or not enough chassis?
it's not enough chassis, so it's getting chassis bars in it right now. You know, it's getting. You know, and it has a 25.5 in it, but like it didn't have like a 25.5 is different than a 25.3. So like it didn't have no X in the floor, and now it's getting all kinds of stuff on the floor.
Okay, right.
You know, because it's twisting the middle of the car up.
And
So
people don't realize what happens mechanically, or at least in terms of we're talking leverage, we're talking like an axial load, no real radial load, but like it's just doing crazy stuff. Like we're experiencing, people say that we don't know what the fuck we're talking about when it comes to certain chassis thing because the car does a wheelie like halfway down the track. I'm like, it's you know, like we can't get it to separate any slower, or we have to like really play with bar angle. Like people don't realize that sometimes you're just out of chassis sometimes.
Yeah, so like we're I mean, I put some preload in it in the 4-link, and I messed with the anti-roll. It didn't help, you know. So when it doesn't help, like I've been down that road before, it's just out of car. So, you know, it's getting some bars in it right now, and we're gonna go back out next week. So what I'm getting at is, yeah, I have someone that kind of is,
That's cool.
you know, floating a check, and he's, you know, trusting me on everything, really.
Boy, what a dream. It could be a dream and a nightmare because it's a lot of stress on you because you have to make it all happen.
It's gonna, and like I just, as long as someone trusts me, I'll make it happen. Like he's like, what do you think this car will run? I'm like, it get 20s easy, maybe teens, and then we're probably gonna have to do a double frame rail car. That's something that's like not stock suspension. You know, stock suspension is like on a Fox is great. Like that's probably one of the best things you can buy.
Yep.
But like, I have a buddy of mine that's been 390s on a Fox body, and like when they got to like the 4014 territory, the stock upper control arms, they weren't the stock length, they weren't cutting it no more. Like the car would do some weird shit out in the middle of the track, you know. So when you make 3,000 horsepower, like there's some stuff that needs to be done besides stock suspension. So anyone that's
the car's light, so you kind of have to like there's rigidity, there's rigidity versus weight, and you have to like go, well, if I make it stronger, it's gonna go slower, but it's gonna live. So you're kind of playing that game nonstop.
Yep.
See, you know, the funny thing is when I talk to someone like you, I think the audience realizes that I'm not a fucking dumbass, but that's okay. Like, I'd rather them think I'm a dumbass. I actually prefer they think I'm a dumbass, so it's better that way. Paul Monaco says, Alec, on high horsepower LT stuff, would you just add port injection or do port and upgrade the DI injectors, high pump, etc., as well to like plus 30s or whatever? Do you understand what the fuck he's saying?
Yeah, I do kind of.
Okay,
so
good.
he's asking if you want to upgrade the DI and put port on it. There's no sense of upgrading the DI injector at that point. Then I hate port injection with a passion. I really try to stay away from it.
You mean auxiliary, like aftermarket stuff?
Yeah, like if I want to go put port injection on my car, like I'm refusing to put it on my car this go around. Like we're doing some different stuff with the engine, and we're gonna go back out, but I'm keeping it on direct injection. I'm doing everything I can to keep it on direct injection. And
is that like a feather in your cap, kind of like I got
it's just it's stupid, but it's just, for one, I swear it makes more power than having port and direct on the car.
Well, it's a cleaner burn. It's efficient as hell.
It is cleaner. It is cleaner. You think about this for a second. Everyone in the performance game pretty much is on direct injection besides drag racing guys.
Yeah.
And it's like, everyone drag racing's behind the 8 ball. You know,
Right.
like
Theoretically, you can have a lower octane fuel and get away with more
absolutely.
because the burn is a more and I tell people this and they don't understand it. And I say, imagine this: imagine throwing a ball with the wind or against the wind. So the direct injection is kind of going against the wind, but it is super precise, like ridiculously precise. The Mustang world, for some reason, does not touch DI stuff, and I think it's the model because Ford with their GT500 went full port, and their race cars are full port. They don't touch direct injection. So something I think Chevy figured out or GM figured out that works better for their stuff than Ford because EcoBoost Mustang or DI, direct injection, and the only way to make power is basically open to the throttle body and shoving meth down it, and that's like the only way of really making good power. And they have aftermarket stuff. It's just so expensive that the people don't want to fuck with it.
That's how it is with the GM stuff too. We do put meth on a lot of them. My car has a lot of meth on it, but like you said, you can get away with a lot more without detonating it. Really, from what I've ever seen, I'll give everyone a little bit of info, not too much, but
right. It's tough to like give an interview and not give away stuff. It's
it's like you tell someone something without telling why.
Right.
And this is why I think that port and direct injection don't belong together, even though Ford does it out of the box.
I don't like it. I hate
it. For one, a lot of people don't know how an engine works properly, in my opinion. It's all in the swirl in the chamber of the head. So when fuel burns, it swirls in there. And I don't think it swirls properly when you have port and direct. It's really tricky to tune.
It drips in. It just kind of.
It's really tricky to tune on GM stuff at least, and to make it live too. And so I think that another thing is when you have port on something, it actually blocks airflow coming down in the head. So if you think about that, Brian Tooley. So I've said this for a while now, but Brian Tooley literally just did a test on his engine dyno of just naturally aspirated, of direct injection, and then taking that off, putting port on it, and then taking that off, and then doing both. And the direct over the port makes 60 more horsepower, naturally aspirated.
Okay.
But then when he put the direct and port on it at the same time, it was like a 30 horsepower difference. So it like kind of met it in the middle. But what I'm getting at is I believe the fuel blocks some of the airflow coming into the.
Meaning it's chasing down the runner as opposed to just air. Let's just
it block. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Even so if you have a, I don't know so much on a boosted, but I'm pretty certain I would like to do some testing with it. So
I mean, you got to buy an engine dyno, bro. You got to do. You got to be
like. I know. Someone just told me that. I'm like, I don't got enough time as it is to do anything else. So.
Exactly. Real quick, Mendoza's Coyote paid, and he said, "What's Alec's definition of a streetcar?" That's a very vague question, but this is something that happened on my channel. That what is a streetcar to you? Because in my opinion, I could put a license plate on a top fuel dragster in Florida, and that's a streetcar, and that's not a streetcar to me. To me, it's got to be like something you can get in, go grocery shopping, whatever. Get gas anywhere, and then race it. What is your definition of streetcar?
My definition of a streetcar is like a real streetcar is
streetcar, because it's a vague question on purpose.
If you're talking like new style stuff, so like ZL1s or Gen 2 Coyotes or whatever, like not anything from the 90s.
Right.
I'm talking newer style stuff because the stuff from the 90s was never fast, so you have to replace all kinds of shit to make them fast.
Pretty much.
But anyways, I would say OEM transmission. So if the car came with a 10-speed, leave the 10-speed in it.
Ooh, that's a good one. That's a good one.
I would say the OEM like diffs in them, so not a solid axle. I would say.
You mean no spool? Like no spool?
Yeah, no spool. Yeah, yeah. I would say, something that you can hop in it and do like flex fuel, like pump gas or E85 in it.
Right.
Which you're probably 900 horsepower, 800 horsepower, somewhere in that ballpark of being safe. Something that doesn't jerk below 1500 RPM with a camshaft in it.
Right. It has to be street first, not race that can go on the street. To me, race that can go on the street is not a street car. It's a race car on the street. That's the way I look at it.
Right. And like, you know, some people give me some crap about here. We have another question.
No, go ahead. I can pop that up whenever I want, but go ahead. Keep going.
So like record breaking cars, right? So like any car that sets any kind of records, you build it to race it. End of story.
Thank you. It's a race car.
It's a race car. Like my green car, like I built that thing to go as fast as I can get it to go. Now I don't have a cage in it. I can drive it, but it's got a big cam in it. I want to go fast in it. That's why I did that. So like people comment and be like, "Oh yeah, that thing's a race car." I'm like, "Yeah, I built it to race it, and you're just mad because I'm faster than you." So, you know that's
they think that you're campaigning it as a street car. No, like my GT500 is not a street car. No matter what I do, it's not a street car. It's got a fucking cage in it. I get in it. I'm gonna get my head bumped around. All the lights are on. It's a race car. But people go, "Oh, street car." Shut up.
Well, I have this guy, like, you know, everyone kind of competes for this. There's like remember how I said the ZR1 guys like they battle back and forth? Well, the LT4 stock blower record is that's serious too.
Really?
So between a couple shops, and I'm in that category. Well, I just beat I beat the record by like 4/10, like a big shot, dude.
Oh, it's not a street car, man. What the fuck?
So the car I beat, he's like, "Well, I had stock axles in my car." I'm like, "I didn't tell you to put stock axles in your car." Well, I could daily drive my car. I'm like, if you're going after a record, like that's stupid on your end because, you know, that's I built mine to beat you. You know, I didn't know we had an ultra street rules thing going on here.
Like, why do you have a cage in your car at all if it's not to race it or to be legal to race it? Why does it have a parachute mount? Because it needs it to race. It doesn't need any of that shit to go on the street. It doesn't need a goddamn thing to go on the street. So people love mishmashing like every single time I see drag and drive events, which to me, I'm like, okay, they're fine. But when it comes to the EPA stuff, I'm just like losing my mind over drag and drive events. I'm like, you have your shop name on the side of the car and you're driving a car on the street. I'm just like, whatever, like all you, buddy. Yeah, I'm just blown away by that. Joseph says, valve train question. When doing cam or head cam swaps, do you guys use a stiffer stock size push rod or the larger 11/32 push rods?
We actually use 3/8, which is bigger than 11/32. We do use 11/32 on like NA stuff, like that's mild, but we found that a lot of push rod deflection, like you won't bend the push rod, but it can lose lift on the cam by vibration and stuff. So we just use a big push rod pretty much from anything that's boosted.
Okay, so anything that's boosted, but 11/32 is like what the industry standard is like. That's what people
actually 5/16 is. Yeah, like we're like the only shop that use a 3/8 push rod and anything. I feel like.
Do you see any parasitic kind of loss because of the bigger push rod? Any kind of horsepower loss, or it keeps everything tighter because of
it keeps everything tight? Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. There you go. See, nice and easy. Javier Martinez says, I have an LMP spec cam in my A10 416 ZL1 and it drives great. Big chop on the stock converter. Made a little over 900 on the stock blower. Car is begging for a 2650. Thanks, LMP. Is Javier your boy that does not race in Maryland? That's not him?
No, it's not him.
Good. Just making sure. But he's basically saying he's happy with the cam you spec'd out. Makes 900 on the stock. See, that blows my mind. That's a 1.7 blower.
Mm-hmm.
And it makes 900.
Yeah, so a lot of people will call for our cam kits and stuff, and they'll watch our YouTube and be like, "How come you guys only make 900? No one else does." I'm like, "I don't know. I said buy our cam kit, and you can put it on a dyno jet, and it will make 900. I promise."
Okay,
like it's not the hub, you know. And that guy's a prime example. You know, he bought our cam kit and he makes 900 on a stock blower with an export. You know, I tell people, I said, call Greg Kong, send your blower to him. You know, and you know, buy our cam. Do everything I tell you, you'll make over 900. So,
do you ever get pushback when you spec out builds? And then are you in a position, because, you know, but I've been in a position where I have to make the company money. And you have a front guy that is on your front desk, and some guy's like, I don't want to do the export. I don't want to use that injector. I don't want that converter. And then are you in a position to say, well, get the fuck out of my shop then, because if you wanted to run a number or make certain power, this is the way we know how to do it.
Yeah. Exactly. Actually, if I answer the phone, it's way worse than Jared. Jared works from the front, but
because you get pushback, and then and I'll give you an example, and I'm sorry if I'm cutting you off.
No, you're good.
Lund Racing, if you saw the volume, the sheer volume of what we tune is stupid. So we literally have a recipe book of 10s, NA, 9s, 8s, 7s. Like we have it. It's been done. But the customer goes, but I don't want to use that injector.
Yeah.
I don't want to use that fuel system. That's my favorite, the fuel system. You know, the most important thing. So do you sometimes deny jobs if someone's just trying to fight you every way because of
because it's just going to be it's going to be a nightmare anyways, because they're always right, you know, like they're always going to be right. Well, this guy did this and this guy did that, and it's like, I don't even want you anyways. You know, like you said, we also have a booklet pretty much to say this, you know, and that's what it's going to make. That's what it's going to run at the track. And like I was telling you earlier off camera, while we did that 416 for that guy, like you wanted an 8-second car, and they'll do it, no problem, you know. Yep. So, but like without a breeze, you know. So
like it's not working that hard to make that number. It's just like it's chilling.
Right.
Whereas a stock car is like, stressing out a little bit.
Exactly. Okay. So, and then you spend all that money on, and you spend all the money on a build, and then you blow it up in 3 passes, and it's like you gotta spend money again.
I'm telling you, I've really tried my best to tell people this is the recipe, and they go, well, I've done it like this, and I'm like, well, guess who's tuning the car? And this is what they say. You guys just don't want to tune the car. No, we just don't want to waste your time and my time by revising it 50 times when I know something else can get there a lot quicker with less money. Jason says, what would you do to get an M7 C7Z to 700 to 800 horsepower?
C7Z.
So
I would
meth?
do full.
Hey, meth.
We love meth.
Yeah. So, like, what would you do on a M7 C7?
Our full bolt-on package is what I would do. I would put a cam in it.
Okay.
Yep. And it depends if you want to put 85 in it. I mean, if you can run. Some people are like, I don't want to do flex fuel, or I don't want to do meth, or I don't want to. That's the thing. Like, so I'll work with people if they don't want to do meth or they don't want to do flex. I'm like, okay, you got to run a cam to make this much then. So like, we have different things we can kind of work around. But I mean, full bolt-on, so export, upper, lower, meth, and flex, and a header, and it'll be making that.
Are you using meth primarily as a fuel adder or a octane adder? Or both?
I would say probably both, honestly. And I know you probably didn't want to hear that, but it's kind of one of them things on the direct injection stuff where you need to, you know, it's
because
just kinda...
I've noticed that a lot of people, cooling. And I'm like, but understand, guys, there's also, it needs fuel. It needs more fuel. So the meth is like a supplemental fuel that cools and bumps up the octane. How in terms of timing, let's say, for instance, you have a 700, let's say 800 horsepower Z that you're shoving 21 degrees through or 20 degrees through, and it's on the 85. And let's revert back to pump gas and meth. Do you shove the same timing in generally?
No, God, no. I'm usually down on pump and meth compared to E, probably 4 degrees, roughly. Yep.
Thank you. Thank you, Lord. Now, why is that? Give these people you don't have to be super technical. Just give them a quick.
I mean, you don't have enough octane on 93s. It's not going to happen.
But it's got meth. But I got to take meth, man.
Yeah. So, that's 2 nozzles, you know. So
we hear that all the time, especially from the Arabs. So they go, hello, Alex. Hey, how you doing, my friend? We have 98 run here. No, 93. But I have meth. So give me 25 degrees of timing. I'm like, And then the knock sensors are like, fuck.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
they're hating life. And I'm
You
like,
could probably hear the thing like marble rocks rolling around that thing.
yeah. And then they go, I need
Yeah.
more power. And I'm like, I'm sorry, get better fuel. It's not that hard.
Yeah.
It's a crazy world out there. Edgar Hidalgo paid $10 and says, what's up, Alex? Badass channel, dude. Thank you. I have a Gen 2 Coyote, MTD2, RST clutch, OPG sprocket, ARP head studs. What supercharger do you recommend? VMP Gen 3R or Whipple 3.0? Which run cooler? Okay, I do have really good experience in this realm. The Whipple 3.0 lid flows really well. And you're comparing apples to oranges. You're comparing a VMP Gen 2R where the rotors are on top and the intercooler is on the bottom, whereas a Whipple 3.0 is flipped and the intercooler is on the top and the rotors are on the bottom. And that area, just that top area alone, is so much bigger on a Whipple that it allows it to cool better. It flows good too, because it's not just about having a big old brick up there. You got to flow air through that brick too. And Whipple does a good job of that. When it comes to those two specifically, the cooler one ends up being the Whipple. I've just seen it too many times to try to say anything different. I'm not the biggest Whipple fan, but I'm not a hater. Paul Monaco asks again, Alec, if you're building an LT1 car to do badass NA build, run a good number at the track, would you choose a C7, Grand Sport, or Camaro? He's a Camaro guy. Right?
I wouldn't say I'm a Camaro guy. It's hard to say. I would choose, if they're both 8-speed cars, I would choose a C7. If it was a 10-speed, I would choose Camaro.
Oh,
so a 8-speed to a 10-speed Camaro, 8-speed to 8-speed C7, if that makes sense.
yeah, because is it the tighter gear ratio?
Yeah.
Because okay.
Yeah.
Now do you ever you can't do it, right? You can't, because in our world you can't put a 10-speed in something that came with a 6-speed. Same thing with
here.
you?
Yeah,
okay.
same.
Cool. Have people tried and they ask all the time, like, hey, I want to put a 10R in a C7?
Yeah, well, people are like the V2 guys or something. I'm like, well, the mine is Z1. I don't know what to tell you. You know, it's like it'd be a lot of money doing that, and it wouldn't work. So
gotcha. Adam Griffin says, I'm looking to get a PWR LT4 bricks. I'm still running stock. Is it worth upgrading, or do stock bricks flow enough and are strong enough?
So I still have stock bricks on my car, and I think I'm the fastest LT4 car out there. So, and I did some testing with like boost drop and stuff on my dyno, and I've never seen. You're always going to get some drop, but I've never seen such efficiency on an LT4 brick. I think I only had like 1 pound loss, and like I promise, there's no one out there spinning the blower harder than I am. So
30% overdrive.
Yeah.
That's just crazy. So if I was a newcomer to the Chevy world and I wanted to have the most bang for my buck auto, let's just talk auto, because I don't think you're a stick guy per se. I think you're more of a
I'm fine with stick. If I bought something, don't take it to the racetrack, I'll choose stick all day.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. But let's say I do want to race and I want to go, I want to cruise. I want to have the car that kind of does. To me, Gen 2 Coyote is a triathlete. It stops, it looks great, it performs great, and it's easily upgradable. What would be your go-to platform for something similar?
Is there a budget in there or not really?
Okay, good one. I want to be all in mods and car, $50,000. Because the Gen 2 Coyote I can get for 25 to 28 or 30, and then I can mod it about 10 to 15,000 and have an 8-second car.
Really?
Yeah.
You can't do that in GM world.
Right. So the Coyote, what you do is boost and fuel. So I go, Aldo, I need a turbo kit. 4, I need a fuel system, and Jake, I need a built trans, and I'm axles and exhaust away. I'm axles away from 890s. That's about 15,000. Yeah, 15 to 20. So I'd say 50,000 all in.
Right.
S550.
I would say a 5th gen ZL1, probably a 5th gen, not a 6th gen.
Okay, now that's the 1.9 blower.
It's a 1.9. Yep.
Okay. Yep. See, I'm not that stupid. So that's the same that came in a CTS V, correct?
Yeah, it's the same exact everything. Yep.
LSA or LS?
Yep. LSA,
okay.
Yep.
Why that one? Is that one a lot heavier than the 6th gen?
It is a lot heavier. Not want to say a lot. I mean, yeah, it's probably 200 pounds heavier than a 6th gen. But okay. They're older, so you can buy them for cheaper. I wouldn't say cheap, but buy them for cheaper, and you can modify them. You have a fun car, for 50.
Have
So.
you ever, based on what maybe you don't not too privy to the Ford world, but have you ever even had anyone say, "Hey, I want to get a Ford because I see that they're rolling out for cheap money"? Would you, if there was a Ford vehicle platform newer that you would buy, which one would you get into? Like, are you really liking the GT500s? Do you like the 350s? Do you like anything? Do you like the Cobras, older GT500s, or anything that you go, if I really made it, I'd get that motherfucker right there.
I would say I'm not a big fan of GT500 to be honest with you.
Even the old ones?
The old ones are decent. I'd rather have an older one than a new one. I don't know much about them, so I could be, shooting myself in the foot, with that, but
it depends on what you want to do, in my opinion. This is what I tell people. The new GT500s are great roll and daily cars.
I just don't like the transmissions in them. I can't get over that.
Awful.
Besides that, I like the car,
Older GT500s have an older style dual overhead cam setup, but bigger displacement. So they're going to have Chevy torque. The old GT500s, 13, 14, hell, 07 to 14, you can make 800. You cannot do that with any Coyote, period. You can't go 800. It'll be 1200, 800. It'll be 1500, 1000. Whereas an older GT500, you can do 900, 1000, 1000. Because my car made 1100, 1000 through a turbo 400. So you might like the power delivery better of an older GT500. And it comes with a TR6060, so it's
right.
And
that's why I said the older one, because I knew they came with the 6060s. So
yeah, have you ever even been around them or in them, or been in a modified one to go, this thing's badass?
Yeah, my girlfriend's long story short, I know someone that's got one in it. So yeah.
Ex-boyfriend or like
no. No, it's someone in the family, but her side of the family. But yeah, he's got one and it's pretty sweet. He makes like 700, and
you should make, and
it's a fun car. Yeah, it's good. They're good looking. I think they're fun. They seem like they're affordable. I think. I don't know
which ones. What year?
The older ones.
Yeah. They're. I mean, you can get them for $50,000 pretty used. But like under 10,000 miles, you're paying 65. Like they retain.
Really?
Value. Yeah, they retain value.
I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah, they're like ZR1 money when it comes to, but the ZR1's older, so they're like ZR1 money. If you're under 10 to 15,000 miles, you're gonna pay 60 plus. Like if I would, mine has 8,000 miles, but it's full retard, like full retard. So I'm like, I don't think I can get 60, but if someone says it's 8,000 miles and I can go racing, sure. But it's not like a pure GT. You know how ZR1 guys are like, if you put a Kong lid on it, you ruined the car. It's a piece of junk. And I'm like, no, it's not gonna work. Killa says, with LS platforms, why bother with Flex instead of straight E85?
I think Flex is the best thing on the planet. The only difference between Flex and straight E85 is you can put 93 back in it if you needed to. So the tune changes itself.
We don't have that option in the Ford.
I know.
And that's why we're like E85. Like, okay, I'll be dead honest. If I have the capability of running E85 in my Corvette, I will never not put E85 in it, because on the
I'm the same way. Yeah.
Right. Okay. On the pumps, it comes out E80 from the pumps, and there's pumps everywhere down here.
Yeah. No.
But if it's sensing E30 or E40, I probably wouldn't go watt.
Yeah.
I'm like, here's 3/4. Just I don't need it, Bring Your Wood Screws says, ultimate fuel system for 17 SS sedan on E85. 2650 looking to make 1050. 4 has fuel level limitations. Surge tank benefits of E98 over E85. Jesus Christ, he asked you 15 questions. What's the best fuel system in your opinion on your end of your side of things? To us, it's 4 innovations. I don't know.
Yeah, 4 is good stuff.
Yeah,
I would put a 4 in that. I mean, he that sounds like a foreign Raider where the fuel limitations are. So I've never had a problem with the SS with it being, if you can't run above a quarter tank in your car when you race at the racetrack, then shame on you. I don't understand people with that. So
right, like I love when I get a log and on the shift it goes 50% lean. I go, how much fuel's in the tank? And they're like,
gas lights on. Yeah,
and I'm like, okay, so this is your hat and this is your fuel level, and it goes well, Jesus, when you launch the car. And these guys just don't understand that. And I'm like, please, guys, just fill it up or put half or put more fuel in it.
Yeah, and then like when you have a blower car that makes over 1,000 to the tire, or one E85, it requires a lot of fuel. Dude,
I'm just blown away that people still don't get that. Now, when you said forum readers, it kind of triggered me because it is funny. Where would you get information that isn't full of biased bullshit if you're like a newcomer to let's say the Chevy world? Because do you have like 6gchevyforum.com or butt riding homos forum here? Like, where do you go to get information that isn't absolute horseshit?
Late Model Performance YouTube channel.
And I tell people,
no, I don't know.
No, seriously, no, because if you have proven that you can go 8s, make 1,100, 1,200, and all of your product does good, why would you ask anyone else for help on a platform that these guys seem to be experts in? And I tell people, ask us at Lund Racing and email us and say, well, start a ticket. We'll guide you through a build for free. We'll guide you through a build. And then when it comes time to tune it, have us tune it. But we're not going to be stupid and stay 50 tickets in and knowing that you're just an asshole that is just going to waste our time. So I don't even know where you would go on your side.
I don't really, nowhere, man. It's sad to see. It's sad to see it on these Facebook pages. I'm like, God dang. Actually, I don't even follow any of the. I'm on Facebook forums, like for like the LT4 page, and Greg actually has a lot of them. I'm like, dude, I don't know how you do it. And he's
every time he promotes a product, I'm waiting for the flame to be like his tensioner, his idler and tensioner.
We tested that before that. We tested the last 2 products he's coming out with before he's even posting, and I promise they work. People are gonna be like, oh yeah, that don't work because my guy said it ain't going to. I'm like,
you don't need more belt wrap. You just need more grip on the rib. Fuck, cog drive.
Yeah, it's just so they just make up shit on there, and it's just so I wouldn't say it's hard to say, man. It's sad, the internet, and then like you get people on there that are just regular car guys that act like they know every fucking thing, and and then like you get people like you and I that do this for a living, but they won't listen to us, and we've been fast, So it's like
if you're at a racetrack. And I don't know if you'll get the joke, but I hope you do. If you're at a racetrack, where are the fastest guys usually located?
In the back, in my opinion.
What do you mean in the back?
Like pitted? Like, what do you mean?
No, the fastest people, not the cars. Where are the fastest people congregating? Where are they located at a racetrack? You probably don't get the inside joke. They're in the stands. Because they all go, I wouldn't have built that top fuel dragster that way. He needs more clutch.
Yeah.
I'm like, thank you. Tell John Force's crew chief that. John 97 says, Alec and Alex, what are your opinions on the current gen Hemi engines, especially when compared to the LS or LT? Sorry I'm late and I love to the shows. Have you messed with any Hemi shit?
We have.
Okay.
We've done some CRXs and stuff like that. So, Hemis run good, they run strong.
Is there something about them that you don't love? Is it because it's
the cars
a big
are
motor,
too heavy to drag race?
That was going to be my point. The sheer weight of the car, you need that big ass motor to move it at any decent capacity. But then those things eat themselves too, like the rear ends. If you start making decent power, you're going to be throwing big money, and then you can't get the car lighter. How can you get that car much lighter besides like a K member and seats?
I don't know, and I'm not a huge fan of the interior. Sorry if there's any Dodge people in here, but it's just I don't know. I think they run strong, but and the Hemi is a good platform, but it's just everything else around it kind of sucks. This is like the Cummings and the trucks,
the engine's great,
yeah.
But, is there a wrong way of pronouncing that? Is it you can't say Cumming, it's Cummins?
Yeah.
I know this.
There you go. There you go.
Got it. Jacob De Leon says, "What's up, Alec? If I want to make more boost on my C706, what size underdrive What size underdrive should I install? Smaller is better. I will give you the backstory. That is a very good inside joke. So there is a cuck ass bitch out there named Nate Ryder, right? He used to have a wide body GT500. So he got himself into a Z06. So he's like a YouTube guy, and a typical YouTube guy gives the followers his latest build specs. He goes, okay, I got a C7Z06, and you guessed it, I got a smaller pulley for more power, and I got a smaller diameter balancer for, you guessed it, more power and more boost. And we were like, he said that? And he posted that in a TikTok, on an Instagram reel, like everywhere. And I'm like, boy, Chevy guys must love when this guy comes over and starts because he has a good sized YouTube channel. And you're going to get people going, hey, should I buy the smaller diameter ATI than the 14%?
That makes me feel better saying Cummins instead of Cummins, I guess.
No. It's
just a minor comment.
It is funny because there's a lot of misinformation, and then you've seen it on the forums, and then you're going to get asked about it. You're going to get a phone call on Monday or something. Hey, I saw on the forums that this guy did this. Can I do that in my car? And then you have to like educate him as to what you saw on Facebook or YouTube is absolute horseshit. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, what are you gonna do? Frankosaurus Rex says personal preference: T-top late 90s Trans Am or gangster spec Impala SS.
I mean,
he's 28 years old, guys. Okay, so like he's like,
my first car was my first car was a 99 Trans Am, so I guess a 99 late model Trans Am. Yeah.
To me, it would be a gangster spec Impala SS. That means 26s. You know, you do whatever. Like, okay, I am not a psycho. If I bought an Impala SS, I would probably put like a good Chevy based engine in there. What do you think about people that LS swap Mustangs? And usually it's broke boys. We all understand this, but do you go, yeah, that's a better thing? Or do you go, why don't you just put a small block Ford in it?
Why don't you just put a small block Ford in it? I mean, so, they run almost the same, honestly. If you do, we had this conversation before, like right. If you do a good combination to a good combination, they both run pretty good. So
yeah, so I mean, it was interesting to kind of like have that conversation because a lot of people think you're like a diehard. I mean, you're a Chevy guy, but you're not blind to like some of the silliness that goes on out there. And like, you don't sit there and have arguments Ford versus Chevy. You go, no, my preference and my specialty just happens to be Chevy stuff, LT stuff, you know?
I think there is like some benefits in the LS. If you're like going to cheaper route, if you want to spend like, I don't know, 10,000 on an engine, you know, like they got a factory 6-bolt main in them compared to a regular small block pushrod motor, you know? So right. Like, yeah, there's some good benefits in them, but I'm talking more the higher budget stuff. Like that Mustang I was telling you about, like we're doing a Noonan for it, like it's a billet motor. So, you know, it's at that point, is it a LS? You know what I'm saying? It's not really.
That's a good one. So do LS guys claim LSX stuff? Because they do. Do you claim it? Like, do you think that's LS?
I do, because it's the same firing order. It's the same kind of cylinder head pattern you can put on it. I think the cylinder heads are a better bang for the buck in an LS. There's more selection for it in an LS. It's because everyone's a LS nut hugger. So there's companies out there making them. So
yeah, that makes sense.
You know, but I think the Ford stuff performs great too. So
yeah, like that's why I asked if you were curious about any of them. But honestly, in my opinion, knowing how you're coming across and everything, you would like the S197 style GT500. I think that you would be like, this thing's badass, like this thing. And Jacob Power by the Hour does auto swaps on them. So he puts 6R80s in them, and we tune it at Lund, and those cars run 10-1, 10-2 stock pulleys, pump gas with a 6R80.
You can't beat that.
I mean, I'm like, and people talk about the Challenger, and I'm like, guys, and if I ever make it on this channel, I will buy a 14 GT500 bone stock. I throw a 6R80 in it, tune it, and go, here you go. Watch it run 50s or 40s in the 10s. And I'm E85 and maybe pulley down from like a 950. The problem is it's a heavy car that makes a lot of torque. So the 6R80 does not like that. So you start ripping shit up. So I think you should stop with a 6R80 and a GT500. You shouldn't go quicker than like a 930 or 940. It's just you're gonna
I say
start
the
just
same
breaking
thing
shit.
with 6L90s are the same way in the CTSVs, the V2 and the older ZL1s, man, because you can make 1,000 horsepower, 1,000 torque, and like transmissions don't hold it.
Right.
You
And
know,
people
so
don't care. They just keep pulling down and wonder why it keeps blowing up. And then
the
it just
torque
becomes
kills them. That no one understands that torque kills everything, engines, all of it. It's just it's hard on parts. So and that's why I think somewhat of the reason the Coyotes, I feel like the newer stuff lives so good, is because it doesn't make a lot of torque.
right. And
At
then
least
once you're
until high RPM.
right, and then you're shifting it at like 90 to 100, and the gear drop is reasonable, and it's it's just not the
If you pay
pistons aren't
attention,
sliding out anywhere, so it's a good time.
if you pay attention, we built Greg's car to rev because it won't live at making the power of 6,500 RPM. It's not happening.
Right. It's just too much stroke, or does it have less stroke generally?
No, it's got some stroke in it, and we don't really have a problem with the pistons clacking around if you do them right. There's some secrets you can do to help them out with that, but it's just it lifts the heads, it beats the pins out of it, whatever it might be. It's just it's not enough RPM. It's too much down bottom. So
exactly. Joe Swish is asking transmission question. People say the 8-speed hits a wall in 5th gear. If true, is it a tuning issue or a gearing issue? And he has a Kuma as a avatar. I like that very much. A Street Fighter reference.
It's a gearing issue. They don't have the. That's why I told you earlier. 10-speed for NA bill for sure. So.
Yeah, like I tell people that I came out with a video a while ago and I outlined what you want to do. What do you want to do? Like when you sit down and go, what do I want to do? Do I want to do NA racing? Then the 10R80 is your car. If you're a stick guy, you get an S197 car and it's lighter, and those cars are run a similar number than the 10R80. But max effort NA 10R80 seems to have it. Boost and big numbers like low 9s, high 8s, bro, you got to go with a 6R80 car. You got to go with a 15 to 17. So I try to come up with this video but it's just, how it is. You got 2 different or 3 different platforms, and then you have to explain roll racing, dig racing, cruising. It's just like completely different worlds, and sometimes they just don't cross.
And that's a good idea to do. Like, we should probably do something like that on our channel.
You definitely should, because I have no idea what vehicle to purchase if I want to run the best number NA. A Chevy. Same thing boosted. What generation boosted? Which blower for what application? And like if you were to sit down with your video guy and whiteboard it, or just you guys do really good work in terms of explaining and the editing is top notch. You guys can literally make a how-to quick, and then you can expand on that later on. You can then say, today we're talking NA, and then just NA, and then today we're talking boost, and just stick on boost, and you just sit there and just teaching style videos. People eat up, especially on your platform, because you seem to be an authority in it and you have the numbers and the know-how to back it up. In my opinion, that you could, but the problem is, right, that doesn't make a lot of money, and it takes time makes time to do.
I'm not on, and another thing is I'm not on YouTube to get rich or nothing either. I just honestly, I want to be able to make something like a lot of our YouTube stuff. Like I explain on there, when people watch, like, we get new people to watch on a video and might want to call for a build. Well, I want to explain on there, like, why we do something, and this is why. And like, I want them to be able to trust us too. We're not just a shop that bolts the stuff on there, and we actually know how it works.
You guys have a hub dyno for testing. You guys have, and you explain why, because after 1,000, you're just spinning the tire on a fucking roller. So it doesn't matter after that. And then I can't test a cold air that adds 5 horsepower.
That's what I'm saying.
It's like run to run, it varies 10. I can't tell you, I picked up 40. I don't know. It spun the whole way. So a lot of people don't even want to hear that shit. They go, well, or they do even worse, Draggy testing. Has Draggy become the gayest, worst thing ever invented? Tell me your Draggy stories. Do you have Draggy customers that go, I took it out last night and it went 0.2 slower and it's 100 degrees out?
Dude, don't even get me started. That's a whole nother hour and a half conversation.
Do you have to go? Because I'm one of those guys
No,
that
no,
can
no,
talk
no, no, no.
forever.
No,
Okay,
I'm good. I'm good. I'm
good. I'll
you
have you
know,
on
I'm
maybe another half hour, and then because
okay.
it's going to be 2 hours, and people love it. They eat it up because there's information coming their way. So, do you have like nightmare draggy stories from not just customers, but just anybody in general?
I wouldn't say it's too much of a nightmare. It's just annoying, and I don't have patience for it, and I become a dick. And it's just like,
Hey,
you
how would you
know,
build a 430 car? And you're like, get the fuck out of my shop.
yeah,
Because when I
literally,
hear
it's like,
430, I go in the eighth. That's
yeah, yeah,
fast.
yeah,
Shit,
yeah. So it's just, and the 0 1 guys are horrible with that, man. I'm like,
dude.
God dang. I'm like, you guys like whack your cars or like, put the rain X on there to make them go another 10th faster. That's just how much they're into it.
Yeah, like I use it as a metric. I go, okay, it improved, but I don't go, oh, I got to knock a tenth off of my 680. Oh, if I went 670s, look, I went 680s when it was 55 degrees outside, and then I did some mods, and it went 680 at 78 degrees outside. I'm like, okay, it improved.
That's
It improved.
improving.
That's an
Yeah.
improvement. But people go, why did it go the same number if you added headers? I'm like, fuck face. It's 20 degrees hotter, but they don't want to hear that shit. So I'm not going to chase that number to try to like, if I really want to be the badass draggy guy, I would take my car to the bottom of the ocean and try to run it down there in negative DA, like 10,000 feet under. That's an inside joke that we have with elevation because people still don't understand how air density works. Like they still don't understand that if there's more air available, your car makes more power. They're still not there yet. So I'm gonna get me started on that bullshit. Someone said here, you would love the G. Okay, so someone's asking about a GT350. NA Black Betty said, definitely either keep this live going for a while or do another live sometime soon. This has been some great knowledge and diverse content. Thank you, Alex and Alec, for your time. But seriously, Alec, I'll be honest, and not to blow you too much, but what you put out there seems to be logical and informative. And there is no LS channel doing that. Not that there's LS channels that aren't putting out LS content, but I'm saying explaining it in such a way that the layman can understand it. And I really think you should actually try, in my opinion, to do some slight educational stuff based on your experience. But again, I don't know if you have the time or the patience to put that out there.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's I want to start. I would like to. I mean, you have a good point about it, So I would like to do some. I have a couple of things in mind. There's a lot of background information that I won't talk about on YouTube or
Correct.
the internet because you have so many hours in something and you figure it out yourself. You can just pretty much say this works and give a brief of why, like the throttle body situation the other day.
Yep.
I didn't tell. I didn't. Actually, I don't even think we mentioned on the live, but for the live, we switched to a 120 throttle body and it picked up top, but like there's reasons why, what I'm saying, but I didn't say like, I measure vacuum snout, and there's a sensor on the snout. You can do that in your 0 1, by
Yes.
the way.
I have one there.
You can see like, okay, it's really trying for more air.
You could
It's not
really
trying.
see exactly. You're like, oh, I have a restriction here, so blah blah blah. So
you got to find out what that is, and
right. So let me get this question, then I'll talk to you about that specifically. Where is he? Where did he go? What's up, Alex Badass channel? How come it didn't come up here? It's weird. Maybe it's way up here. New comments, personal preference. Boy, it doesn't say. Well, I guess. Well, anyway, Edgar Hidalgo says, "What's up, Alex Badass channel? I have a Gen 2 Coyote MT82 RST McLeod clutch, OPG, sprocket, ARP headsets. What's Supercharger? Already got that. Why the hell is it there? Oh my god, that's an old one. So, because if you run a number based on everything you've done to a vehicle, meaning R&D, you've gone through blowers, porting, different heads, you've done it all. Should you give up that information for free?
That's what I'm saying, and I think the guys that work for me, they just, for example, the one boy Fuzz, he's just like,
that's fucking bullshit, man.
Yeah, he's like, I'm like, it's that 120 throttle body situation. He's like, how the fuck did you know that? I'm like, it's because I've been down this. I just you can analyze data, and a lot of people just play a guessing game. I think that's the biggest issue in this industry, especially for tuners. They just play a guessing game of why it makes more. Like, no, you need to HB Tuners actually has a lot of stuff on the scanner you can log,
Yep. Absolutely.
and people they miss it, and they don't understand how something works, and that's the fundamentals of tuning, in my opinion, and getting something to run good is that. So
My
my
favorite
one's
is my favorite is when, and I apologize for cutting you off. When another tuner runs a slightly better number than what Lund does, and then I see a log and it has 5 more degrees of timing, and I'm like, look, I'm not risking your car blowing up NA just to be that guy on the forum that said, I'm a badass. I'm just not that guy.
it's the same way with us. I mean, people will come to me and get their NA, Camaro done, and like they'll go somewhere else and get an R10th out of it. And like I'm not gonna stand on the thing, like why? What's
I've
the
seen
point of
you
that?
say that. I've seen you go, I'm going to back it off. There's no reason to rag it out on the dyno. And I'm like, thank God. Like,
Actually, if you guys, sorry.
no, because I hear guys like, okay, not that I'll mention it. So when Steve Morris did Cletus's Monte Carlo, he's like, we got to get 2000. And the look that Steve Morris gave him went like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, the harder you bolt this, the harder you smash the tire to the drum, like the harder it is going to be to make power. So like, stop it. But he's like,
Yeah.
and I went, I understand your pain. I understand your pain when people just say, just make more power. I don't care what happens. What were you going to say? Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, on that real quick, I could give a shit what something makes for power. It's just what it performs at the racetrack with. So it's just a tool. People get caught up on that shit way too much.
Hey, it made
So
1199. Can we get 1200 out of it? I'm like, dude, I love you. It might make 1180 the next bowl. So could you not but I
right,
really want to see 1200 because I want to frame that while I wear
right,
my Corvette hat and New Balances at the meet. I'm like,
right,
fuck, dude, stop. Like just
right.
stop. So yeah, that's and the thing is when let's say you like in the 90s, before you were born, we would build our cars, right? And there was always one guy that was just faster. And you open the hood and it's got GT40 heads and nothing special, but in the engine, he did some lightning here, some polishing there, and this and that. And then it gets out there and runs a half second quicker. Do you think that guy's going to sit there and go, oh yeah, this is the program I use. This is the polishing. This is the profile. No, fuck you.
Right.
Race me and be better. But now everyone wants the recipe. So we have a general recipe, but when it comes to tuning, I give them super vague shit. Like people look at a data log and they always say the same thing with Lund Racing. Y'all run it too rich. Y'all run it too rich. Like every single time. And we just go, sure. And we don't give them any one way or the other. So on the Ford world, if I start seeing, lean is mean until it blows up in the Ford world. Like lean is really mean, and then then it's gone. So typically we just go, but we tell people certain tips and tricks to say, hey, I think we're doing okay. And our vehicles, we brag them out. We rag out our vehicles like no one else. And we wouldn't do anything to your vehicle that we don't do to ours because we buy every platform we tune. 19 manual, we have 18 manual, we have 18, 15 to 16, 15 to 17 manual. Every single platform we've bought, even GT500. So we tune it, make a file out of that, boom, and then we sell it. So it's difficult to kind of explain to people how we got to this layout than just guessing and throwing timing at it and making power. It's crazy stuff.
Yeah, it's that's actually that's a good business thing. I mean, a lot of people don't do that at all. So I mean, that's great that Lund's done that. Honestly, it's hats off to them for buying a vehicle, doing something, and getting rid of it because not many people can say that.
That's why they go, well, can I have access to the tune? We're like, fuck no.
Yeah.
It's like $150,000 in R&D.
Yeah,
Are you psyched out? No, you're like, fuck you. You're like, get out of here. So, Second Shift Racing did ask a funny question. Have you noticed that FuelTech? This isn't it. This is something else. Why is FuelTech starting to become more used in the Chevy world than Holley? Is there an advantage to using FuelTech over Holley, or same shit, different?
So you got me stirred up on a FuelTech on Holley.
I had no idea.
So I'm not bashing FuelTech whatsoever, but um,
I can see the filter working overtime. Like, fuck, I don't want to say nothing stupid.
so non-tuners, in my opinion, like FuelTech
Ah,
because for one, I like FuelTech logging better. So you open up its one page. I don't know if you're familiar with it or not, but
zero
yeah,
standalone.
you got one page of it, and you can uncheck it and check it. It's real nice with logging. That's about it. Everything else, Holley for me. Um, but the FuelTech does a really, really good job of marketing, and their customer support is A plus.
Okay,
And
good.
I mean, that's saying something about a company. I wouldn't say FuelTech shitty. There's just certain things about Holley I like better. And I'm not talking Holley Terminator. I'm talking Holley Dominator versus the FuelTech 600, like real, because you got the Holley Terminator that's a pile of shit. I barely even tune them. I tell Jared to not even bring them in the shop, honestly. So,
Oh shit.
in the snipers and stuff, they're made for like 300 horsepower cars, like and they're not a nice system. It's $1,000 or whatever it is. So like, I'm not comparing that to FuelTech, but FuelTech is a much better customer based, you know, um, platform. So if you have questions, they'll answer it. Like they have tuners over there that can help you.
But for
Um,
tuning, on a tuning aspect, you prefer a Holley layout than a FuelTech.
Especially on a nitrous car.
Interesting.
Their their nitrous controllers are a lot nicer. Yeah.
Very good. Cool. Yeah, like yeah, I used to make fun of Holley because the way the car starts. Now, I don't know shit about Terminator. I don't know shit, but I know a car's running Holley depending on how it starts. Like
I agree. I agree.
right. So I'm like, that car starts like shit, must be on a Holley. And
Yeah.
then there was a guy in one of our race events, Mod Nationals. We actually have a race called Mod Nats for extra cammed cars.
Mhm.
So this guy with a Cobra, yellow one, it stalls it at the line, and it takes him about an hour to start. And I'm like, must have Holley in it. And sure enough, he did.
So there's a fix behind that actually.
Don't say it. Don't say it. I want to hear that startup forever. So is it
Yeah.
okay? Let me ask you: is it crank fuel related or spark related?
It's the cranking RPM and the voltage.
Ah, okay.
Since Holley's very, very, very sensitive with voltage compared to FieldTech. That's one thing I do not like. I mean, they both have their pros and cons, and one of Holley's cons is the voltage. So, like, if you have a 12 volt battery system, and you go to crank it up, and it goes down to 10 volt, it has a hard time starting.
Ah,
Even though the starter sounds strong, it's still, it doesn't recrank. It like skips on cranking RPM.
yeah.
So it has a hard time
And then
picking
they
it
clear it
up.
out for an hour, and I'm like, is there a carburetor on that Holley? Like, what the fuck? I didn't know Holley tuned carburetor.
Yeah.
I'm like, ah, fuck all that.
Every
Uh,
16, like race car stuff, every 16 volt Holley I've ever done starts right up.
Okay,
So
gotcha.
it's, yeah.
I've always made fun of the startup. Kirst asked me about to finish my build motor Whipple GT500 build. Does Lund still tune 08s and older? Only with the N gauge and the ZT2 package that reads air fuel through the N gauge. That's the only way we support anything older that doesn't have a wideband. GT500 started having widebands in 2011. Coyotes have had wideband since 2011. Actually, yeah, 11 and up. Most everything for it had wideband, so we were very spoiled when it comes to that. Michael Riddle says that FuelTech traction control is better. Do you agree?
I like the Davis stuff, honestly. So
Is that
FieldTech,
something? Is that an auxiliary box on top of something else, or is that
so
like?
yeah, it's a tie-in too. So like, actually, there's a big debate about.
There's always a debate, dude.
Yeah, it depends on the tuner, honestly. Like I
Okay.
like FieldTech in certain ways, and their traction control is decent, but I like the Davis the best out of all of them. Like Holley's traction control is very basic, um, and I want to say I could be wrong on this, so don't repeat me, but don't say I'm wrong or whatever. But Mike actually might know this. I actually know him. He works at JPC,
Oh,
but
gotcha.
anyways, when FuelTech came out with theirs, I want to say that you could add and take away timing in theirs, and Davis has a patent on that to
Oh,
where you can only do it on his, and then they had to take it back off of FuelTech's. So the Davis traction control is like if your tune up is like you don't have enough wheel speed on like a slick car. You can put timing in it to get it to meet its drive shaft. So that's
Okay,
what's nice about Davis. Holley doesn't have that option, and FuelTech does not have that option either. So,
gotcha. Have
but
you messed much with slick tire cars, or is it mostly drag radial stuff that you mess with?
no, I like slick tire racing better actually.
Why? Why would you prefer slick
Because you
tires?
can get down when it's 100 degrees outside,
Yep.
and radial
Exactly.
shit's a fucking nightmare when that happens.
It's an
So
on-off switch. It's either
it's
on or off.
horrible.
There's
It's
nothing in the
horrible.
middle. Like I love watching Ducks races and World Cup to see people run a stupid number at night and then in the middle of the day spin, spin, spin. And I'm
Mhm.
like, I'm not ragging on it, but I'm like, every slick car just gets down. Like again, some can spin, but generally, in very general terms, a slick tire car set up a certain way gets down the track. And I'm just like, I'd rather that. But call me crazy because I don't know. Every single time I would go out there with a slick, like on my black car, again, we're talking low power shit, 10-second stuff. I never even thought of putting a radial on it because one, I didn't want to put a slipper clutch on a 10-second car. And two, I didn't want to break everything. And then the slick I launched at 6,000 RPMs and it just cut 1.3s, 1.4s all the time. And I'm like,
Yeah, if it's consistent, then yeah.
yeah.
So, slick tire racing's slower, but
Yep.
it's just you can get down in any condition, and it makes you a real tuner. Like when you start to go like fast, like low fours and stuff, like a radial is either going to go if not.
Right.
It's going to either blow them off or it's going to go. Like slick tire, like you can use the traction control. I don't use that method necessarily. Like I might have a line there, but I won't use it just because I think traction control slows you down, and that's just my way of tuning. I don't
Okay.
tune with traction control,
Yeah.
but
Like I noticed that a lot of guys call themselves suspension tuning gurus only when there's 5,000 pounds of glue on the track. But then the moment there's, the groove is off a little bit or it's a little hot, they
then they
all of a
blame the
sudden,
track.
they all of a sudden lost their knowledge. I'm like, where did your knowledge go, King Daddy? What
Hmm.
happened?
Hmm.
The prep is no good. Oh, so now the prep is no good. Yeah, get the fuck out of here with that
Yeah.
crap.
So like at Ducks races, like when you have a car that caliper, like you got to be changing stators and the converters during the day. I'm talking like 3 second cars. You got to be
Yep.
changing stators to be a looser stator. You got to take weight off the front, releasing the front. I mean, you're going to be 2/10, not 2/10, but at least a 10 and a half slower today than you are at night. But you'll get down. You won't
Yep.
spin. So it's either you're gonna. It just depends how much work you want to put into it, really. So
At that level, to me, it's so tight that though you could tell who is like super on their game and they've done a shitload of testing.
yep,
Because I'm like, wow, that guy gets down every pass, and rarely do you see him spin. Maybe he's not breaking records, but man,
yep,
that son of a bitch is going rounds, and he's actually going rounds in the daytime and nighttime, like any
yep. It's
condition.
all
So
about the tuning, honestly. Yeah, it might suck, but you better make it work. That's just my opinion. So.
exactly. Joe Swish says, Alec, why do people consider an aftermarket cam as the end all be all for LS stuff? Meaning cam is the first thing they consider. Oh, you got to get a cam in that LS. Do you fight that a lot where a lot of people say cam, 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 and you're like, you really don't need a cam unless you want it to chop or you're making big power to move the air?
I don't fight it too much. I mean, if you do a cam, you gotta do everything like we have stage 1 through 4 packages. That's just how we simplify our things. And but so like if you do like our stage 3 package, like it gets a cam, but like you're getting all the supporting stuff behind it too.
Okay.
So I don't know. I think people just like to chop. So,
So let me ask you a very simple question because you know your customer base really well. If there was a way of making a tune chop just like a BTR Kill the Dolphins cam or whatever, or Texas Speed, fuck the ozone cam, would customers buy it? Meaning a ghost cam. If you can go click and go bleh, 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 would customers like that?
some of them, yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Because people go, oh, okay, you know how variable cams work, right? You
Hmm.
can cause overlap to happen, and that's literally, you can't make more lift, but
Right.
you can, the overlap. So that's what we do with the ghost cam. People love it. It's like we don't even charge for it because we don't want to have to chase it because it sucks to chase it. We just say it's gonna chop, and if it stalls, that's on you, bro. But Here's your regular idle tune that's going to make good power. And this is the same tune, just with a choppy idle. So Camaro guys are like, I'd rather put real chems in it. And then they put it in and it doesn't chop exactly like they want. And they tell their tuner, hey, could you do something to make it chop a little more consistently? Does it take a certain amount of tuning changes to make a cam chop a certain way in your experience?
Yeah, but when you do so many of them, like our cams actually sound a little different. I feel like than most, and like it's not. I'm not just saying that. Like even the guys that work for me are like, yeah, bitch hits. Like just there's a lot that goes into a cam. Like just for LS, for example, you have one cam, so like you got different ramps and just coyote stuff. Any cam, but you got different ramps and stuff to you can put on really fast 200 number and. The lift isn't going to cause it to chop anymore, really. You know what I'm saying? So we have like a special like our LT4 cam. We have a special load design pretty much from Cam Motion, and they sound a little different, and they don't sound like that typical LS. They have like a more of a fast pace to them. Chop. I've never gotten a complaint out of it. So
I've heard some Ford small block Ford stuff. If I'm not mistaken, had a different firing order, and I'm talking like the big boy shit. And it just sounds like a tractor, but it hits pretty hard. And I'm like, is that like a Cleveland? Like, what is that? Like, it just sounds like a different. And then once you start like listening, because the best thing you could do at a track is just listen. They actually start telling you what's going on. Like you're just around people and you're like, oh, that's not a B cam. That's not a, kill the ozone cam. That's something that they spec'd out a certain way for that specific combination, and fuck how it chops. It just makes good power where they want it to make power.
That's how I am with people. We tell people up front on the phone, like, does your cam sound like the Texas Speed Stage 3? I'm like, I don't fucking know, and I don't care. It's like,
oh, you gotta love that shit. Yeah. So they're just as gay with the sound than Coyote guys are. So okay, cool. So what I'll do is this, because I don't want to keep you on 2 hours, but I really appreciate you sitting. I know you're a busy guy. I know you've been sick the last couple of days, so I just really want to thank you, because I wanted to bring a lot of people LS knowledge and LT knowledge, and then have them have someone online ready to go to answer the questions that can come from a place of authority. Scott P sent us $20 dunking on us, dunking on him. So I'll get you a Dunkin'. I'll send you some of that money. So I don't know if you're a coffee guy, but no,
I drink twice a day during Dunkin'.
Trust me, it's a Northeast thing. You kind of have to do it. You can't really fuck around with that. All right, Alex. So what I'll do is I'll sign off the main show. Then I'll talk to you a little bit later on the backside. But guys, thank you very much for hanging in there and giving Alec some proper questions. Follow his channel, Late Model Performance. Check out his stuff. He's got a lot of stuff going on. He's, in my opinion, the authority in the LT stuff specifically. Very knowledgeable in the LS stuff. Follow his channel, give him a like, follow, make sure the stuff starts popping. And the more that, he gets noticed, I think the more business comes this way. Maybe he can come back, and if he has to promote anything. Are you going to be racing anywhere anytime soon that people can find you, catch you, any event or anything like that?
So not recently, but I think I am going to run World Cup this year with my car.
Ooh, we're going to be there with the Grey Goose. So if anything, we'll are you running Street Fighter?
No, I ain't that fast.
What are you running?
True Street. So or it's called something else now. I don't think it's called True Street no more. It's the slowest class, but they're still like 830s.
Could you imagine the slowest class is like an 830?
Dude, like 10 years ago it was like 10. So it's like, it's crazy.
Well, if you look at Texas 2K, if they're not crashing, they're running 6s or D.
Dude, that whole race was a shit show.
Dude,
I was like,
don't get me. I told you it was just like,
that's embarrassing for the drag racing community.
But people still go, and I'm just like, wow, like I was blown away by it when they were.
A bunch of streetcar guys are idiots. That's what it comes to. That's what it is. Honestly,
I don't disagree, brother. I don't disagree. All right, I'm gonna let you go, but stay on. I'm gonna talk to you a little bit after that. And for the rest of you guys, I'll be back on Sunday for the Peasant Chat. Thanks again for being here to ask Alex some questions. And Alec, thank you for being on for a little bit. And I'll talk to you in a little bit. The rest of you guys, I'll see you guys Sunday. Have a good one, guys. Bye.